Hello, everybody. It's Wednesday again. Rainy day here in Dublin. Rainy day in the UK. Cold day in France.
Rainy as well.
Yeah, rain as well. Can say that. So nice to have you all. It's 9 p.m. here in Ireland, in the UK. 10 p.m. in France is our time for the spiritual light. And today we're gonna talk about the spiritual influence on those who cause so much harm. This is an
Everybody.
important topic, and gladly I have my two friends here, and we will for sure have a nice discussion, a nice conversation about the topic today. So, good evening, Miss Gibbons. How are you, my dear?
Good evening, Stevan. Good evening, Charles. I'm very well, picking up, and hope everyone is well. And today we're going to discuss this theme of the influence of the spirit in our thoughts and our lives, which is, as you said, is a very important topic for us to be aware of. So hope everyone out there enjoys the work, and if they want to ask any question or put any comment, that would be nice. So, boa tarde a todos, bom dia. Hoje nós estamos falando sobre um tema bem importante para todos nós. E se vocês tiverem perguntas ou quiser fazer um comentário, façam. E bem-vindos a todos. E vamos ter uma boa reunião hoje. E que Deus nos abençoe. Thank you.
Good, good. Bonsoir, Charles.
Bonsoir, Steven. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Very happy to be here again with you to talk about this subject that unfortunately still are happening on Earth, like wars and why do these things happen and so on. And let's also try to find some ways, what can we do to prevent wars to happen again and again and again as it is today, because one day will come that there will no be any war anymore on our planet. Hopefully, this day will not be so far away. Bonjour à tous, merci pour votre présence. Toujours heureux de pouvoir parler des sujets d'actualité comme en ce moment celui de la guerre.
Good. Okay. Let's go to our video here.
We don't need anybody to say to us what is doing good, what is doing bad. So at that moment when you did that action, you act as a free will. We do have the free will, but this free will is limited according to our knowledge, according to our conscious. It's hard when someone comes to you, try to explain something and you don't understand. Perhaps it's because you have not enough experience to understand that. So you need to live a little bit more. And we need to stop to judge everyone, because everyone is in a level of evolution. We need to be more tolerant to everyone. We need to extend the hand, even though at that moment that person is not ready to receive all knowledge. In your own pace, you build up with your actions, with your conscience, with your way to decide to live.
Okay.
We know that gentleman, don't we?
Sorry?
We know that gentleman, don't we?
I don't know who's that guy.
Yeah, I've seen him before. I've seen him before.
Probably some, I don't know, 7 years ago, something like this.
About 5 years ago. Yeah, 5, 6 years ago. Yeah. Mm.
That guys look younger than me.
He was very.
So yeah, yeah. So yes, and today it's tricky because, like, unfortunately, we are seeing all these now. We're talking about war, but generally speaking, is elsewhere. Uh, we we are kind of. I said many times during our lives, we are kind of a radio station. So uh, if you want to connect with good spirits, good vibrations, we need to be in a very well uh, um, feeling. We need to be inspired, watching good movies, reading good books, watching good articles. However, when we are not doing that, we are connecting with problems. We are connected with wrong videos we watch on YouTube or watching on TV, wrong movies. We are in confusion, other times stressful. So there is no way to connect with good vibrations. A radio station works like this. If you want to hear classical music, probably you tune in to a station in which plays classical music. If you want to listen rock, you're gonna tune in to a rock station and so on. Same thing. It's the same thing. And whichever station you decide to tune yourself, you'll be influenced. You will attract people or spirits, if you want to prefer to say it, and they will, if you allow, suggest things, and it's up to you to accept it or not. It is important to be very, very clear here. Even though a bad, either a bad or a good spirit influence you, it's your free will to decide if you accept that influence or not. Okay, saying that, I think, my friends, the question people are saying here is, for those who are not spiritist, they even believe in spirits. They may, if they are listening me now, they will say, "Ah, this is not for me. Spirits doesn't exist." So, can a spirit influence those people who does not believe in them? Okay, Silvia gave a beautiful smile. So you ladies first, Charles.
Sure.
I think it's very interesting. The question is almost funny. I think there was something I read that Kardec said, the question of believing in God. And he says, completely irrelevant whether you believe in God or not. God exists and is relevant of your belief. I think it's only people who think that they're too important or something to believe in God. And they tend to dismiss people who say they believe in God. And I think it's the same thing with spirits. The spirits exist. The spirits are the souls of men who lived on earth and have now died or passed on or whatever people like to say. And they continue to be the same people that they were when they were here. So whether or not we believe that there are spirits, that we believe that there is life after death, is irrelevant of our beliefs. There is life after the death of the physical body, there is a spiritual world, and there are spirits, and there is a spiritual world. And if we believe it or not, it doesn't make any difference. What is important to understand for people to think about is that the influence of the spirits over us, it comes, and whether we believe that there are spirits or not. And I think in question 459 of the Spirit's book, when Kardec asked the spirits, do spirits influence our thoughts and our actions? And the reply from the spirits was, their influence upon them is greater than you suppose, for it is very often they who direct both. And the difference, I think, that if we accept that the spirits are there and they do influence us, this knowledge gives us, in a way, the ability to have around us the spirits that are good, friendly, that helps us. When we don't, wherever we go, it's amazing actually how many actions sometimes we do, even though we accept the exists are there, that we are not doing things for ourselves. We are almost fulfilling some desire of some spirit that is next to us. And so when we know they're there, when we know they see us, they are around us, as Paul, the apostle, said, you are surrounded by a multitude of witnesses. Paul the apostle said that. So it's not something that's new, that came with Spiritism, but is well known from antiquity. And so having positive thoughts, having loving thoughts, having thoughts of forgiveness, or we all go through life. Sometimes things are very difficult. We go through very stressful situations. We have problems, financial problems, lose our jobs, have another job, go to this, go to that, having to travel to go to work, take the tube or whatever. We have problems in our life with family, relationship, illnesses, things that we think that everything is going well, fine, but then a member of our family becomes unwell and ill and having to go to major exams and operations and friends, and all those things, they touch us, they stress us. And so we tend at times to maybe to become a bit despondent and to have a negative thoughts. And this is a time that we have to be really aware, because in reality, the spirits are all around us. We cannot see them, but we know they are around us. And they are come to us, they are attracted by our thoughts. And I think, like you said, Stevan, that we are like a radio tuning in. We are actually tuning out, and they are tuning in to us. So it depends on our thoughts, depends on what our behavior, the feelings that we have. We will attract to us the spirits that are in tune with our thoughts, with our desires. He says there is a lot of problems. Sometimes you want things, and that's the kind of spirits who will attract to you. So having the knowledge that the spirits are around us, we can then discipline our thoughts, discipline the way that we behave and we are. Because there is one thing, the spirits, they see us, who we really and truly are. We cannot hide from them, because they are attracted to us by our thoughts. So they can see our thoughts, they can read our thoughts, they know the feelings that we have, the desires that we have. And if our desires are not as good, then we will attract spirits who can fulfill those desires. So we ended up taking decisions that are harmful for ourselves, maybe to our family. We'll do things that will lead us into problems and difficulties. because they are there helping us, encouraging us. A lot of problems with depression, and a lot of mental illnesses is in part the influence that spirit have over us. So it's a very, very extensive subject, something that we really needed to talk and meditate on and talk about it, for people to be aware of it, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to believe in things, but if you can be aware of your thoughts and attract to you the good spirits, those who help us, because when we attract the good ones, the bad ones will be distant. But as the spirit book says, they will not go too far, they keep watching. And if you go down in your thoughts, if you lower your vibration levels with a negative thought, they are all over us like cheap suits, so we need to be really aware of it. So I'll leave to Charles to discuss, but it's a very, very special subject, one that we to give a lot of care to.
Charles, anything to complement?
Yes, I mean, Silvia is fully right. I would simply add, there are a lot of things today, a lot of illnesses like depression or similar or other likely diseases whose origin is poorly known. And of course, we can take some pills in order to alleviate and so on, but it's a little bit like you fight against the effects, but you don't remove the cause of these things. So the spiritualist paradigm, which is now, how to say, there are so many evidences converging now to this hypothesis of the spirit that can be easily explained by the existence of spirit, as it has been demonstrated in the book recently published we have shown you last week, Science of Life After Death. That, okay, we reach now a point that, sure, you can always reject this, the existence of the spirit and the spirit, the influence of the spirit on us. But if you admit it, and you know the conditions which are governing this spiritual influence, and if you can, how to say, act in a way to prevent them to happen, your disease or depression or whatever may disappear with no or very little remedies. So what do we lose in believing this? Maybe some pride, some willingness not to change our mind. Okay, but it's again a basic principle of science. You need to be open. You cannot close the door a priori just because you don't believe in it, or because it is contradicting some things you are thinking. The scientist must be always open to investigate everything which happens and open to any hypothesis until these hypotheses are definitively unvalidated or at the opposite, validated. And I think now, when you listen to some scientists or in the medical area who are believing in the influence of the spiritual world on us, you have thousands of studies, medical studies, who have been done, and according to the well-known protocols, double-blind methodology, and so on, proving that there is an effect. The prayer has an effect on the health and so on. So what's the problem still to resist to accept that if it works? Thousands of studies are showing that it works. So if we want to become better, If you want to improve, we have to change, because if we don't change, we will not progress. Basically, it's obviously said like this, but it is the truth.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the good proofs about the a good spiritual influence, we can say Kardec, the way he codified the books is a excellent way to show how a good spirit can influence those who are incarnated. Would like to comment something about it, Charles?
Yes, that's the other thing. I mean, the materialist knows only the matter. The soul does not exist. But for the spiritualist, the soul exists, and it has huge potentials, much huge forces and powers, much beyond what we could explain only by this biochemical reaction in our brain. And sorry, a lot of things like the sixth sense, like mediumship, like intuition, like inspiration, like spiritual intelligence, as we are more and more commenting nowadays, are linked to the soul, to the power of our soul. And just rejecting the existence of our soul, we are also rejecting a huge potential that we have in the human being. And that is also, of course, a pity, because, as I just told, our soul has the power to cure, to make a lot of things that are unexplainable just by the laws governing matter. So again, we are pushing to appeal to, okay, think twice, think about it, and you may say we are dreamers, but we are not the only one, as was Per John Lennon's song. And what I see now is more and more people are really going this path, principally with all the events that happened in the last years, like the pandemic, like the war in Ukraine, now much freshly since a couple of days or maybe 1 week or two, this war in Israel and Palestine. And I'm very happy to see on the social networks images being published like three children, one Muslim, one Jewish,
Yeah,
and
I
one
saw that
Christian
picture.
together, and then also an old Jewish sitting and talking with an old Muslim, and 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 also some other type of images saying, "Hey, with between Moses, Jesus, and Mahomet, all three saying." You shall not kill, and Jesus also putting talking always about against any violence, and Mahomet as well. You should not kill, destroy what God has created. So we told the same thing. Why don't they understand? This type of images, which really is a sign that yes, the humanity now is more and more taking conscience that we should ban this type of things from our planet, and also pressurize, even if they are leaders, the ones which are still, unfortunately, making conditions or even encouraging sometimes, or even manipulating or whatever conflicts, which where we see also every day on the TV people crying because they lost their beloved one in those conflicts. So this should end now, and I'm happy to see that the reaction is now stronger, and for sure this with the time will influence on the systems, at least the democratic systems, with the votes. To ban and to eliminate those candidates who do not have a clear position on peace. And okay, it's a question of patience, but slowly but surely we will get there. Unfortunately, as Jesus told, some scandals like this must still happen until the enough proportion of the humans are acting proactively for the peace.
Uh, um,
And when I
it,
talk about humans, Stephen, it's incarnated humans and also disincarnated humans. And incarnated humans not listening to some wrong influence from disincarnated humans pushing us to
Mhm.
violence. No, stop, go away. I don't listen to that. I will not follow this.
Yeah,
But-
yeah,
because this is the key. How can we control the spiritual influence on us when you know there are spirits, when you have also these notions of what is good and what is evil, what is in harmony with the nature's law and what is not in harmony with nature's law? Of course, you have some referential which enables you to detect immediately the wrong suggestion and then with your will to oppose resistance to it and not to follow those suggestions. And even also some other very simple means. Take a good book, a positive book, not to, we have a lot in the spiritist books that can be used for that, to read good things. So you will get a bad influence, you return by reading a good book. So you are doing good to the one which are doing evil to you. So exactly following what Jesus advised us 2000
yeah,
years ago. This is what we really should do, because with that we cut the affinity, we cut the influence, and we can proceed. And at the opposite, you cut the bad influence, and you are attracting, you get more affinity to the good influence, which are then indeed helping you in multiplying in per 10 by a factor 10 the power of our soul.
yeah. While I was talking, I was trying to find that picture from the children's, but I couldn't find it, unfortunately. But I saw the picture and I saw the chart with Jesus, mom, and the other. Yeah. Let's say,
Not willing to make some advertisement, go to my Facebook page because I shared them.
okay.
There you will find them easily.
Okay, I will do it. I will do it. Let's engage here in another topic, and I will check it. So, yes, Silvia, I, I remember, like, I don't know. I think the last time you came to Dublin was, I don't know,
About 4 years
if
ago, I
Leah,
think,
if
before
Leah,
COVID.
Leah will turn 7, so probably 9 years ago, something like this.
No, she was already
No, no,
born.
Leah wasn't born.
Oh, Leah. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Your second one. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
yes.
Leah
Sorry.
wasn't born.
Yes, yes. It wasn't. No.
And you told me a story that one day you were walking towards the bus station and you had very awful thoughts. No,
Oh,
life is not good, blah, 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 and then you say, "Hey, this is not my thoughts." So, how to identify this is not your thoughts? How to start to prevent to accept good advice and reject bad advice.
well, yeah. I mean, that's it was a very interesting experience. Actually, it was much more than that. It was life changing because I think one of the points that we need to, I think, said that, and I think Charles mentioned and yourself, one of the the things that we have to be really, really conscious and aware is that whatever influence, either good or bad, that we may have, it's we attract them. We attract them to us. And that situation was something had happened, and I felt very hurt and very betrayed by some people and the things that the way it happened. People I liked, I consider friends, and I was upset with them, and I felt that it hadn't been fair and whatever. And that was a few days later that this happened, and I was still feeling a bit down and a bit depressed about it. Well, not depressed, but I was feeling a bit unhappy with whatever happened. And, I was walking home from the supermarket doing, just ordinary things that people do. And I decided to stop and take the bus because the bags were heavy. And as I stood there waiting for the bus to come, I started having terrible thoughts that nobody liked me. If I died, no one would ever notice. And, I was very unhappy, and how, I was sad and nobody cared, and one thing and another. And I started feeling really, I got into those thoughts without even realize how I was getting to those thoughts, and was getting worse and worse and worse, to the point that I felt, well, if I die now, nothing is going to, nobody cares. And it was so weird. And I saw the bus coming, and I thought, no, maybe I should throw myself under the bus, will not make any difference. And I was into those thoughts, almost unaware of it, that I was into those thoughts. It was so, and then suddenly, because I am a person who prays, I do have, things that I do, and I pray and I read good books and I read the Gospels and all that. And I felt as if someone actually took hold of me and shook me. I actually literally felt my body moving, as if someone really literally had taken over my body and shaking me. And I thought, oh my God, what is this? What is it? And then I realized, God, but this is not my thoughts. I'm not that kind of person. I do have difficulties here and there, but I'm a really happy person, and I do have people who care for me, and I am a person who love people, even if they don't know me, I love them. And I feel that there are many people who really care a lot for me. They love me and everything. Those are not mine. And then I realized that my thoughts that had been just like a thing, just a nuance of sadness because of what had happened before a few days earlier. I was integrating other people's, that loneliness, that emptiness, that sense of absolutely feeling like nothing. And I thought, this is not my experience. This is not mine. And then I started to pray, and I said, my God, please, Jesus, please, God, help this person who's with me, because they need it, and may they be surrounded in lots of love and peace and grace, and benefactors come and help them. And I saw it. Then immediately when I was praying, I saw who it was. And it was a woman, not very old, quite beautiful, but very sad, And I said, oh, may God bless you. And because I said, even if there isn't one single person in this world that loves us, there is one who absolutely and completely and accepts us and loves us, and that's Jesus. And that's when I saw her. And then I thought, oh my God, I hadn't realized that during that time I was in tears, my blouse was completely wet because I was the tears was running down my eyes. I was crying and I hadn't even realized. And I think that was a big lesson for me because it had never anything as bad as that had happened. And I thought, oh no. And nowadays, if I feel a bit funny, I think I start to pray because I said, oh God, please help me that, I don't want to get into this kind of negative thought. So, I mean, that was an experience that I had, that was life changing and really taught me a lesson. And now, if I'm in the tube or if I'm in the bus, I always pray because I know there may be a lot of people around the streets, around the tube, around the buses. And I always remember, that was sort of reminded me of that film Ghost. There was an old film from the 80s, and it was really very well done, that film, actually. Very, the way the spirits teach us about the spiritual world, that this man goes into this underground, in New York. I think it was New York. He had been murdered. And he was around because he didn't realize he had died. And he found out his girlfriend was in danger. So he goes into the tube and he's trying to get this other man to teach him things. And so I always pray whenever in public transport or sometimes in the street. And I never had anything like that again. So it's so easy to get involved. I think the point really is that, you may feel something, clear the stuff. If you have to talk to someone, that if they upset you or you felt upset about what they said, they may not even know, but go to the people if you can, talk to them, clear things up. Don't bottle things up inside. Go and say, look, what you did upset me, and clear the air. And if you can't, just pray for the people and try to move on and not harbor all this kind of negative feelings, because this will attract spirits that are sad and unhappy. And before we know it, we are not living our own anymore, but we are living theirs. So this is something to be aware of. And I think, people talk a lot about mental illnesses now, like never before. There has always been problems, bipolar people, mental disorders, and a lot of, but now has become epidemic. And I think because society has changed a lot, a lot of people now feel entitled to things. They don't want to give anything. They just want to receive. And we, the way things change now. So I think it is a question of stand down and look at ourselves first and foremost, and see what we are thinking, see what we are desiring, what kind of things we want. Because whatever we want, we will have the friends around us to make sure that we get it sometimes. And there is that saying, isn't it? Be careful what you wish for, you may get it. You know that one. And I
Yeah.
think that that's something that we really needed to think about. So clear the air, don't harbor anything, and move on, forgive, let go, and, you know, create peace in your heart, really. I don't know if maybe I went too long with the story, but I think it's a good reminder for us
Yeah.
to filter.
It was wonderful because it showed to everyone that we do have this such influence and it happened with us. It's good. It is wonderful to see. Thanks for your. But see, I still remember you told me this
Yes, a long time ago.
a long time
Yes,
ago,
a
and
long
but I
time
still
ago.
remember.
Yeah,
Huh?
that happened a long time ago. But I think the important thing as well in the story is the fact that you had also good spirits around you. You have your
Yeah,
guardian angel protecting you, because I mean, it was, the feeling was physical, of someone grabbing hold of my shoulders and shaking me into into changing, because they are probably there trying to help me and they couldn't, so they physically pushed me so I could wake up from that nightmare.
Yeah.
And it's so easy to fall into those things. My God,
Yeah,
how
we
easy it is.
I asked Charles to give an example of a good influence, but before that, let me show this, Charles.
Yes. It's,
See?
one example. Voilà.
Oh yes, near the mountain, isn't it? The Temple
Yeah.
Mount near the
Jerusalem.
mosque,
So
Temple Solomon. Yes,
why they
this is
need to fight?
Jerusalem. Is the Temple
Yeah, yeah.
Solomon.
Jerusalem is is the background. Yeah, but so why they need to fight?
Where's the mosque? Is
Why all
the
this hate?
go.
Why all these things?
They are the
So
same family. The Arab people and the Jewish people have the same father,
yes,
Abraham. He was father
yes.
of Ishmael and Isaac. So it's a sad things because I think in this situation and these three boys, those are the people who suffer in both sides, because there is a group of people who desire for power, basically, and they are then they have a lot. Imagine the influence that they may have from the spiritual world, and they create pain and suffering in the people who really are there, carrying on their lives, going to work, taking care of their families, and a group of people who create such a pain and suffering. But we know that the day of reckoning will come, because the justice of God will never, and they will have in their conscience the death of all the people and all the destruction that they have caused.
Mhm.
So that's something to consider, because once they look and the day reckoning you come to all of us, what we've done, everything returns. The law of cause and effect is infallible.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
Silvia, as you told, for sure, when you do evil, you have spirits encouraging you to do evil. You enter in a kind of a vicious circle, isn't it?
yeah,
So the influence of the spirit is not an excuse. It does not remove the responsibility of each one of us, huh? Because they are only amplifying what we already have in ourselves. Huh?
yeah.
As you illustrated, Sylvia, we always have the faculty to stop, and to refuse that influence, to go out of this vicious circle, to call the spiritual mentor, and to enter in a reverse, in a benefic circle instead of a vicious circle. So it's always upon every one of us. So there is probably some bad spirits influencing some leaders who are promoting and entertaining and prolongating wars, for sure. But it's not an excuse. And how to say, the images you have shown are very nice, Stephen. Albeit I think Jesus or Moses were not smoking cigars,
But
but
I think so. Yeah,
out of this, of course, every all of them have said the same thing. And we
yeah.
could put here a lot more. We could put Buddha, we could put Krishna, we could put Confucius, we could put all of them. We could put even more recent ones like Gandhi, were pacific and non-violent. So
Even Nelson Mandela, I
yes,
mean, because if he had come out of that prison with the hatred, that could have been a terrible situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
And in the end, said,
exactly.
no, let's unite. And actually, he united people, like, yeah, and that it's a big
Yeah.
lesson, big lesson.
And Charles, we can say a well-known story about a good spirit influence is that story when Kardec was writing, I think was the gospel according to Spiritism, and he was listening a sound.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was listening a sound. What's wrong, bro? And then later in a communication, the spirit says he was about to write something wrong.
Mm.
Yes, yes. So that's one. They warning him that he was mistaken that day. That he recognized later on that really he was mistaken. And the other example is when no, it not this was not the gospel; it was a spirit book. But when he wrote the gospel, he was ill. So he had to breathing. The doctors advised him go to somewhere where you have fresh air. So he went to Saint Adresse near Le Havre
Yes.
to breathe the air of the ocean, and he rented a small how to say that a small
Cottage,
house cottage.
Shock.
cottage,
Yes,
Yeah.
on the
cottage.
beach. Huh? And he was alone because even his spouse went back to Paris to take care of the daily business there, and he was alone. And the spirits later on told him this was wonderful because we had you really under our influence without any disturbance, anything pushing you away from your concentration. And that is how he wrote, indeed, the Gospel according to Spiritism. So these are simply examples of good influence. And this, I mean, it's not only for Kardec, not only, it's for every one of us. As soon as we have good will, use or the will using our for goodness, to do good things, we are immediately helped by spirits in this way. Because those good spirits, as you told, we have a mentor. If we don't listen to the mentor, what happens? He just takes a little bit distance, but he's still there. When he sees that his presence is useless, he takes a little bit distance, and he let you somehow learn from the bad influences. And this is part of the exercise to make the distinction between good influence and bad influence. And as soon as the person wakes up somehow, blocks the wrong spiritual influence, and opens the door again to the mentor is immediately back to push for the beneficial circle again. Unfortunately, nowadays, we are in a material world with all this materialistic advertisement or whatever harassment along the day. So this is not helping. But everyone, I think, has his secret. My one is okay. I go out in the nature, wandering in the forest or in the mountains or around the lake or whatsoever, in order to cut a little bit from all this bad news that we receive daily on the TV, on the social network, and so on. And then when you come back, you are re-energized somehow, and this helps you to overcome all this and to withstand and even to filter this bad influence we are receiving at any hour of the day.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting, and you made a very important point, Charles, because there are good big things, but we are constantly also being inspired to do good, isn't it? How many times sometimes you feel, oh no, leave it be, don't worry about this, do something, phone somebody, all kinds of things that we have. So I think mostly we have a very good advisor, our guardian angels with us, protecting us. And we also have, sometimes they tell us to help us not to fall into something or do something wrong. So we do have that. But there is one question here actually in the Spirit's book, which I think is important, because he asked, Tadek asked, why does God allow the spirits to incite us to evil. And I think this is one of the questions that you always hear. Why does God allow war? Why does God allow suffering? Why God, we always blame God. It's his fault for everything. And it's interesting because he says here, as the answer from the spirits, imperfect spirits are used by providence as instruments for trying man's faith and constancy and well-doing. And then he says, it is for the spirit who must advance in knowledge of the infinite. So it's part of evolution, really, to be tried. It is for this end that you are made to go through the trials of evil in order to attain goodness. And he says, our mission is to lead you into the right road. When you are acted upon by evil influence, it is because you attract evil spirits to you by your evil desires. For evil spirits always come to aid you in doing the evil you desire to do. So, I mean, like the point that Charles said, that they provoke wars and everything, but they are more inspired, but the first thought comes from whoever starts it. And it said, for evil spirits always come to help you. They can only help you to do wrong when you give way to evil desires. So if you didn't give way to them, they couldn't do it because they cannot do it anything themselves. And so if you are inclined to commit murder, you will be about you a swarm of spirits who keep this inclination alive in you. But you will have others about you who will try to influence you for good, which restores the balance and leaves you for your own decision. And I think this is crucial, isn't it? Because we have the negative influence. I mean, we already have a bad something that we desire that's not good. So we have, some spirits who feel like that, want us to go on with that. But then on the other hand, we also have the good ones who come and say, don't do that, make other choices and things. And he says this restores the balance because ultimately you have your own decision. And I think this is very, very important because we cannot even blame the spirits for telling us to do something bad. Because first of all, they only come because we already shine a light for them to come. And even then, we can have the choice because we also have the good ones selling. And so whatever we do, ultimately is our own decision and our own responsibility. And I think that's the point that Charles had made, that we don't have to follow. We can break that. We can say no. It's our decision, our responsibility. And God, he leaves us to choose what we want to do. So God is blameless.
Yeah.
Silvia, I think we can also add spirits are influencing us, but not only. Social medias and incarnated spirits are also
Incarnated
influencing us.
spirits, yes,
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
definitely.
So,
Even worse, even
This
worse
is the
than the
worst one.
spirits.
isn't it? So we need to react against that, and even if we cannot forbid, if we cannot block, if we cannot make censure or whatsoever, we at least let's share and let's forward all the positive things going to the right direction.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I choose most of the time not to get involved in the news, and I used to be a person who used to read about 3-4 newspapers a day, because major newspaper, the Times, Financial Times, the Guardian, Daily Telegraph, every single day, the Evening Standard,
Oh my gosh.
because I thought, oh my God, the word is going to fall in my head and I don't know why. And now I don't read any newspapers.
It's better
Very,
not to read. That
very,
let
very.
let what's fall.
And like you, Charles, I go sometimes for a walk and I photograph trees. and how are they changing throughout the season, how the colors are changing. And it makes me feel good. And you say, oh my God, look at this change, it's full of leaves, and now there's no leaf, and now there's red leaves and yellow leaves, and makes you feel connected. And I think also, I look up and I say, please, God, help us. And I pray, I send prayers. I'm doing the washing up, and I send, please, God, help all those people who are suffering so much in those terrible wars. So, I don't keep them, but whenever I remember, I always send them prayers for peace for the world, for people to have good thoughts, for love to involve us, So my little contribution is not much, but it's what I can do for the moment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes what you feel like doing, put those people in the same room and knock their heads one into the other,
Oh yeah,
to
yeah.
see if they can get
Just
some
leave the
sense
room
into them.
without the issues,
Yes, it's so much pain and suffering. But on the other hand, I think one of the things as well, that many people who are passing away through this, some are because they have something from the past that they wanted to clear from their karma, from their spirit, from their experience. Others choose to because they want to help the families or something. So there is always a balance. We are evolving, our planet is changing. And I feel personally that it's almost like everything that's negative, that's awful on earth is coming up and is overflowing and going somewhere else, because our planet is beginning to change. And we see, sometimes I see those too, but the other day there was a picture of this baby had just been born, and he already had his eyes open and he was looking at everywhere. He looked more like
Where am
a
I?
month-old baby,
I took
and
the
I
wrong
think, oh
bus.
my
Sorry.
God, and I say, please, God, help, because this one came with a mission to take this planet forward, because they seem to be aware already. They
Yeah,
smile, it's amazing.
yeah,
So the mercy of God is with us, even though sometimes we think, there's so much darkness.
yeah. And I see no comments today. We do have a good audience, but they are very shy today.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking to us.
Uh, they, do you see them there? I don't see them.
Yeah, I can see we have almost 25 people.
Mm.
So
Yes, they don't seem to be talking to us. But then on
yeah,
the other hand, sometimes a lot of people will listen to it afterwards, I know people who listen to it afterwards.
yes, yes. Yeah, Marco say thanks. Very kind of you. Thank you, Marcos.
Thank you. Good evening,
Thank you for the
Marco.
comments, Marcos.
Well,
We got your
yes, he usually gives a lot of comment.
yeah, yeah,
He's holding himself as well.
yeah. Okay.
War is
So
so sad, isn't it? But
huh?
war is so sad. Huh?
It is,
But
it is, it is, and there are so many money involved in it.
yes, materialism,
Mm.
selling weapons, and then
It's big
fight for
business.
power and
Well, we
whatever.
are
I
not
mean,
saying here who is right or who is wrong. We're just saying the war, how one finance this, the other finance that, the other incite someone, the other try to be the good guy, playing. Oh no, no, no! Stop this! No. But at
but to
the
see
end,
the
And then,
interest and so on. Huh? Yeah.
sorry, and then someone who did the same in other people's country come out and say, "Oh, you're doing badly."
exactly,
It's such a hypocrisy, it's unbelievable. But
yeah,
I think in a way it's good because they're exposing themselves.
it is, it is something we needed to be. We need to pray, like you said. If that is not what we can do, at the end, to be honest, we don't know who's right, who's wrong. If there is someone right and if there is someone wrong, we don't know anymore.
Yeah.
So many things, so many misleading information. So you don't know what is.
But I think one of the things as well, not only, and it's big business to make money in weapons and things, but also I think there is a lot of warmongering and a lot of people putting so much stuff in the internet, because the internet can be very good and can be quite evil,
Yeah.
and a lot of people keep saying this message, the world is going to end and all this going to, and I think there's a lot of warmongering and people are fearful, they are scared, so it's not surprised that they are listening, but they don't want to commit themselves into either. And I actually, usually I don't, but I wrote a message the other day: stop your warmongering. If you believe in God, there is no place for the beast. They wake, they get the book of
Yeah.
Revelations and they bring things from there. And I think, my God, forget about it. God exists. He's there. He's bigger than any threat like this.
And to be honest, we will fall in that trap, which is oh, I hear a blank. Oh, I forgot. Sorry. We will fall in that trap to.
To be afraid, you mean, to
No,
also give in to bad thoughts and
no, I forgot. Sorry, there was blank. We were talking. I remember what? I don't know if I remember. I'll tell you later. So it's our time.
oh gosh, yes.
So thank you all. Thank you for joining us. All these 27 people now. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your kindness. Um, as you've seen, like we are trying to make our topics here more up to date with the current world um, news, or what's happening in the world. So that's why I reserve the right today to not show the deck for the next week topics, because let's see how it goes, and if come up a more up to date topic, and then we will um, send on the Facebook our topic next week. Saying that, it was lovely to see both of you, my friends. Thank you, Marco. Thank you. Let me see here. Camila, Ju, Marco Davis, Vanessa Ancelone, Gilson da Gama. So thank you, my friends. Thank you for being here with us. And God bless you all. And you have a lovely week.
You too.
All
You
the
too.
best.
Keep well. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Bye
Have
bye.
a good week. God bless. Bye bye, everyone. Bye, Marco.